I would like to invite you all to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and elevate your thoughts. Loving Father, Jesus, and benevolent spirits, today we gather in gratitude and humility. Bless each heart here with peace and openness. Illuminate our sister Claudia with wisdom and clarity, so truth may flow gently and uplift us all. May this meeting serve the highest good and bring comfort to every soul. So be it. So I'd like to call Claudia, and I will share her presentation here. Okay, just a second.
The spiritual birth of Christ.
Is it too big?
Perfect. Thank you.
Is it too big, Claudia? It's fine here. Do you prefer that it to be
No,
shared
no,
here also?
it's fine. It's
Yeah?
fine. I have my own in here.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you all for having me here today. And we're going to talk about the spiritual birth of Christ within us. And as always, the initial message has something to do with what we are going to talk about. Every time we read the gospel or any message that brings the gospel, of course, we're going to find something. And in this study that we're going to be doing in here also calls for our transformation. Also let us know that we need to seek, right? Just as the initial message was telling us. So let's see if you can find within the study all that the message brought to us in here. And we are going to talk about this spiritual birth of Christ within us. And it's a very symbolic topic, theme, whatever it is that we want to call this. And we are going to be doing a link between the birth of Christ and this inner birth of Christ within us. The gospel, the Bible itself has a lot of symbolism, a lot of metaphor, and we are going to use that. And if we think, well, December was right there, right? We just start the year, but this is not just for December. It's just not when Christ was, when Christ came to earth, or at least the date that they gave to us. But it is something that we should be alert, aware of every single day of our lives, because we are always being called to have this birth of Christ. And that's what we are going to be talking today. So I'm going to use some of the symbolism of the birth of Christ. And there is plenty. We're not going to use everything, but we will use Mary and Joseph traveling from Nazareth to Bethlehem because of a census. If we go to the Bible, every time, or almost every time, I'm not going to say always, right? But almost every time that talks about traveling, desert, or going from a point A to a point B, it's asking us something, and it's asking us to think about something. It's a reflection moment. And Mary and Joseph had to do that point A to B because there was a census happening in there. And a census, it's an accounting, an evaluation. So where you're from and where you are now and what you're doing with your life, right? But also, Jesus was born at night, and night usually is that time of anguish. If we think about what are the worst times for us when we are struggling, it is at night, because you're not doing anything, you're there trying to sleep, and guess what? The mind starts to think, right? So if you're sick, you're gonna feel your worst, everything, because you don't have that automatic things going on in our lives throughout the day. So at night is when things become worst. But also, when Jesus was born, there was a star in the sky. And a star usually means direction, but also hope. Who have not seen that falling star and make a wish hoping for something, right? So that is very common in many cultures, that they see a star and they not only use for direction, but also hope. So we're going to start with, if I can get there. Yes. With this message. This book, we don't have it in English. But it's very interesting. Let me go a little bit further. Yeah. There is a problem here. I forgot to put in PowerPoint. So we're going to do a little bit on the tick, 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 tick. And there is this book called Point and Tails. Know that this is not the real name. Probably if and when the book is translated, they might choose some other name. But it's a well-known book in Brazil. It's from Brother X. And it's entitled Symbolic Christmas. And when we read that Jesus coming took place at a time of census, we go back to the census again, because now we're doing that symbolic, right? So this census here is the great inner census. So an honest inventory of our inner world desires, patterns, and needs, prompted by life big questions. What am I truly seeking? What do I want? If we want to use a more common phrase, right? What do I want? What do I yearn for? What do I desire? But what do I actually need? When we start asking those questions to ourselves, we start going towards that point A and B of that desert, of that traveling that the gospel tells us. It's a moment of thinking about it, of reflecting what we are doing and what do we want to go. So when we think about this, oops, I already passed this one. When we think about this great census, we are doing that reflection. And then the message continues. We achieve essential transformation precisely during a phase of spiritual reckoning with our own conscience, whether through pain or through the maturity of reasoning. So this same census, we can ask, if the census asks who are you and where do you belong, what is the condition that you are living at the moment, then our soul is going to start asking, who am I becoming? What do I carry within me? What have I done with the opportunities God has given me? And what needs to be corrected, healed, or strengthened in me? So what this message tells us about this essential transformation is this reasoning that we need to do. And sometimes this happens through pain. We are going through difficult times, and this pain asks us to reflect, to stop, reflect, and realize what do we need to change, right? Other times happens through maturity. Hopefully we would like and would love to go through those transformations through maturity, but not always happens. Pain is, sufferings are there to wake us up when we are too much in the comfort zone, right? So sometimes through maturity, we reach that point. We grow enough to choose the goods and to make changes without the life needing to call us for that to happen. But in both cases, the learning is the same. The birth of Christ within us is not only a celebration, it's an inner awakening. It's asking us to stop living in the automatic and begin living with purpose, with honesty, responsibility, and love. It's asking us to realize what is our purpose in here and start living in that way. But many times, what happens is we are here, we study, we read books and all this and all that, and when we go out there, we keep on going on that automatic, right? We get angry because of the traffic, we get angry because someone said something, the person is having a problem and they put all their problems within us and we get angry without thinking, what is this person going through, right? So sometimes we think too much about ourselves and forget about our neighbor. And we have in the gospel powerful examples of inner journey, some of who embraced transformation and some who have exited. And we have those three names. Most likely, the majority of you have heard about the two first, Paul of Tarsus and Mary of Magdala. They are more common for us. But there is this third one, Publio Lentulus, that is our Emmanuel from the many books Chico Xavier has wrote, right? And is less known. Those that have read the book 2,000 years ago, and I recommend, they have in the bookstore, there is a beautiful passage there that Publio Lentulus meet Jesus. We're going to get there. Paul and Mary, I'm going to go very quick because I suppose the majority already know those two stories, but I'm going to tell this story based on what we are doing in here, right? Thinking about this process of having Christ being born within us. And Paul of Tarsus, he was first soul, and he was rich, have a high status, a position in society that many want to have. And he also persecuted the Christians because would go against his, or he thought would go against Moses' teachings. He did not understand the difference and how those teachings of Moses, the part that came from Jesus was exactly this, from God, was exactly the same as Jesus was talking about, right? So here goes on the road to Damascus, right? He was reflecting on himself. And there was something that Saul needed so much, and there was peace. He had something burning within himself. His soul was not satisfied, was not content. And he was more than surprised. He was in awe of how those Christians, they embraced Christianity and how they would even die because of that master. So in that road of Damascus, he meets Jesus. And from that point on, as he asked Jesus, what do you want me to do? He's going to start a new life. And he even has his name changed. Before Saul, now Paul. Because now starts his transformation. It's not that he embraced Jesus and his life transformed overnight. No, there is a transformation needed in here. And he did that transformation to the point that he would say, all the wrongdoings that I don't want to do, I continue doing it. But the goods that I do want to do, these ones I don't. And just at the end of his life, and he's going to say, it's Christ that lives in me, right? So there was this transformation, but he accepted in that moment, in the road of Damascus, he accepted Jesus. And from that point on, he was another person. Mary of Magdala is quite the same. She also has a position at that time, although not necessarily the position that everyone wants to have, at least in the story. She was very much attached to the earthly pleasures. So, but she had a position, she has money, and she did enjoy it, all that money would bring to her. But she was seeking for something that she could not find anywhere, and with not all the money that she had and the position that she was having at that time, she could not have it. And there was love. And then she hears about Jesus, and she leaves her house and go where Jesus was preaching. And in that represents that thought, that reflection, that census that she was doing. What is my life right now? And what do I want? And how can I get there, right? So she meets Jesus, and from that point on, she has a transformation in her life. That was not easy. There is a book, I don't know if they have it in English. In Portuguese, is As Mulheres do Evangelho, the Women's of Gospel, I believe, but I don't know if there is in English. So it's a very interesting book because it talks about all the female personages of the gospel. And in there, Mary of Magdala is in there as well. And then we have Publius Lentulus. Publius Lentulus was also rich, had a status, a position. He was a senator and very proud of that. His family was very well known, powerful where they lived, and he was very proud of that. And Publius had a daughter, and his daughter became sick. She had a leper, if I'm not wrong, and he was desperate. What happened when we are desperate? We go for desperate solutions. He was not a Jesus follower. He thought that Jesus was another Messiah, as many of Messiahs that they had at that time. But out of desperation, and because his wife told him, either you go or I go, so he decides to go. And it's very interesting. I strongly recommend who have not to read the book 2,000 years ago, because the book is amazing. But the passage of the encounter of Jesus and the senator is beautiful. I'm gonna not read, but kind of summarize a little bit what the message says, and the representation is amazing, because Jesus met and receives Publius with serenity, humility, and profound compassion. He did not accuse him. And when he saw Publius, the first thing he said, would have been better if you had met me when the sun was already up in the sky. Why? He went to meet Jesus on the first hours of the day. And what happens on the first hours of the day? It's still dark. What is the symbolism in here? He was not prepared. He has not done yet that census in his life. He was proud of his position. He loved the power that he had. He did not want to meet Jesus with a purpose other than earthly purpose. He wants something for here, not for the eternity, not for the spirit life. He wants something in there in that moment. So when Publius met Jesus, he felt inwardly disarmed. Accustomed to commanding respect through fear and force, he realizes, perhaps for the first time, that there exists a moral authority that cannot be fought, controlled, or dominated. Even so, Publius is unable at the moment to abandon the pride and mental structures that imprison him. He understands the truth, but is not yet able to live it. The encounter plants a seed that will only begin to grow after great suffering, losses, and atonement. He shamelessly will tell later who he thinks he is to tell me all these things that he has said to me. And he was angry with himself that he was paralyzed. He could not take actions. He could not really talk to Jesus. Jesus talked to him at that moment. Beautiful passage, I do recommend. And the symbolism in here is the fragility of the human power. All the illusions and temporary power that we think we hold, that can go with a blink of an eye. And also the futility of pride and domination, because we know Roma, that at that time was on the top, he is no longer, right? So this moment represents the clash between the power of the world and the power of the spirit. How many times we have chose the first instead of the later. How many times we knew the right thing to do, as Publius felt he understood the truth, but he was not able to live that truth. So he chose the word power instead of the spirit power. So Jesus' invitation for this inner renewal is without coercion. It asks us, it invites us, but does not make us do it. It's our decision. It's our necessary reflection to change, because it's not just meeting Jesus that's going to make the difference. We're going to see that this is the start point. But after that, we need to make the choices. We need to make a conscious choice in order to move on. So Publius Lentulus, he represents this understanding of the right, and yet not being able to live it. Again, how many times are we in this automatic path? And knowing the truth, we are not able to live in it. Hearing the truth and remain trapped in our ego. We are constantly being invited to light, and yet we fear leaving the shadows behind. And the shadows represent all these vices, all these automatic habits that we have in life that we choose not to transform. Because it's easy to be who we are, right? We have a problem here, we have a problem there, but most of the time we are just kind of in that automatic mode, not thinking much about it, not having to do the effort to change ourselves. So it is very important to do that census to understand what we need and how to get there. So we continue with the same book, the message a little further. It says, that is why I put it the symbolic, so we remember that this is our transformation, right? So this is why the Christmas of the Lord is of profound importance for each of us individually. We carry within us oceans of divine blessings, marvelous continents of possibilities, forests of feelings to be educated, deserts of ignorance to be corrected, innumerable tribes of thoughts that populate the infinite expanse of our inner world. So the first thing that comes to our attention in here is the divine blessings, the oceans of divine blessings. How many blessings do we have every single day and that we don't think about it? There are those messages, very cheesy, and the Instagrams and Facebooks of life, social media, whatever it is, the one that you're using, that tells us if you open your eyes when the day starts, you're blessed because you're counted among the livings. And that's true, right? It's true, because if we are here, why are we here? Why are we having this opportunity? If we go today to the other side, have we accomplished everything that we wanted? How are we going to face ourselves on the other side? So it's important that we understand the blessings that we have in here every single day. It's true, we're going to continue having the blessings on the other side. And it's true, we're going to come back here again and again. And how much can we improve today in this life before we go to the next? But also talks about the continents of possibilities, because every single day it's a start all over again. It's a new day of possibilities. It's a new day of actions, of thoughts, of habit transformations. It's a new day that can be on the automatic, or it's a new day that we can do something about it. There is also a forest of feelings to be educated, because think about it. All the feelings that we have, they are normal. Even if it is anger, even if it is frustrations, even if it is, I would not say hate, but hate is also a love that got sick, right? So we need to heal that first. But all the feelings have a purpose that need to be educated, because not all of those feelings, we know how to take advantage of them. If we are angry because we feel wronged. Why did I feel this way? What happened? What can I do about that? Our action is what is important. So whatever it is we are feeling, what are we going to do with this feeling? That is the important part. Deserts of ignorance to be corrected, because although we know a lot as a spiritist, but we don't know in that full extent. And even if we think we know everything, think about it. How many times have you go to the gospel, the good person, and read there and say, oh, I don't do this yet. So that is an ignorance of us that do not know in full how to act that way. So we need to work on that. Innumerable tribes of thoughts that populate the infinite expanse of our inner world. And I was like, what does that mean? And I had to kind of research a little bit and think about that. But after I have done all this research, I said, that makes sense. What family are we born with? They don't have beliefs, set of beliefs that they put on us. Some of them are good, some of them are not. As we start growing, we have friends, we go to college, we go to other things, and they are also tribes that will gonna influence us one way or another. Some are goods, some are not goods. And that keeps on going for our entire life. We are here. We are also a tribe. So what kind of things are we learning in here, right? Hopefully just goods, not bads, right? So when we think about this, we realize that is a lot to be done, right? So we have this path to transformation because accepting Christ is not enough. We can accept the Christ today and then the next day continue doing everything in automatic. Did Christ really truly had the birth within us? Not really. We just had that chance of encounter, and just like Publius Lentulus, refused, right, to continue in the path of transformation. So this path of transformation, there are a few things that we need to do. Hope for a new opportunity, daily effort, emotional vigilance, moral discipline, and perseverance in doing good, which is the last one. I will put it up when we talk about it. So very quickly, for us to discuss about this, and the first one is hope for a new opportunity. So hope is this inner certainty that life can be renewed. So in Spiritism, this is not illusion. This is not a hope for illusion or a denial of life itself, but it's a confidence that the divine mercy and the law of progress that will give us an invitation all the time saying, begin again, begin again, begin again. Oh, I made a mistake, begin again. Oh, I did this and now I realize that's wrong. Begin again. You might not have exactly the same opportunity, but life will continuously bring in you a new opportunity. Whether here on the other side, whether you return back in here or you go back to the other side. We always have this opportunity, even when we fail, when we fall, and when we feel unworthy. Hope reminds us that there is no experience that is wasted. Everything is a learning experience. Even when we feel it's the end of the road, that is also an experience right there. So there is always a possibility of rebuilding because the soul is immortal and learning is continuous. So whatever opportunity we have in life, whatever blessings we have in life, whatever challenges we have in life, whatever it is, it's an experience that's going to bring us something. But hope alone is not enough. We also need daily effort because transformation does not happen only through grand moments. It's on that small daily choices that we do. It's when we continue on going. Oh, I'm going to forgive that person. Oh, I'm going to do this. That's beautiful. Can you keep that going? Can you keep that momentum? What do you need in order to keep that momentum? So usually it's on the small things that we do every single day. And sometimes it's holding back a harsh response or choosing patience instead of getting irritated and fight with someone. It's practicing forgiveness every single day and doing what is right even when no one sees it. So the daily effort is what turns spiritual knowledge into real character change. It is that quiet work of becoming better, step by step, every single day, without giving up. But again, daily effort is not enough. We also need to have emotional vigilance. And to be vigilant emotionally is to watch what is happening within us, inside ourselves, before that feeling turns into a harmful reaction. So many times our struggles is not to begin an action of doing something. It's about resentment, it's about pride, it's about fear, irritation, it's about discouragement. How many times in life have we felt discouraged of doing something, even though we knew that we should do that? or we feel irritated, or we feel resentment for somebody else's action, just to later on in life find out that what they have done was in a moment of impulse, or was in a moment that was difficult for them, or because of our pride. Who is this person? Just like Publius Lentulus did with Jesus. So this emotional vigilance is the capacity, the ability to pause and ask ourselves, what am I feeling right now, and what is this trying to teach me? It's self-awareness. But with humility, it's understanding our limitations and what we can do, right? But also, emotional vigilance is not enough. We also need moral discipline. And moral discipline is self-government, the strength to remain aligned with what we know is right. It is not rigidity, it's faithfulness to our conscience. So means honesty instead of convenience. It's kindness instead of superiority, responsibility instead of excuses, and it's also humility instead of pride. So moral discipline is what sustains us when emotions fluctuate. It is the decision to live by values and not by mood. And have we all realized how much we live by mood? We wake up in a bad mood, and the day goes along in a bad way. We wake up angry, and everything that happens in our lives comes with that anger classes. And we make decisions, and we have perceptions that might not be the real thing. It might be pushed because of that feelings, that emotion that we are having at the moment. So it's doing the right thing even when it is difficult. And this moral discipline, right, it is very important to keep us going, and is not enough. It's also need perseverance in doing good. And perseverance is what makes goodness permanent. Doing good once is great, is beautiful. Without, oh, today I'm feeling good, let me be condescendent. No, because usually it's like that. It's not really that humility, is not really that we want to, it's that condescendence. Okay, I'm feeling good, I'm gonna help you, or I'm gonna forgive you. I'm studying in spiritism that I need to be this good person, so let me be a good person. But are we a good person all the time? Are we persevering in being a good person? So persevering is what transforms us spiritually. Yes, that's true, we want to, but many times have we realized that we go along depending on how are we feeling? So perseverance, it's continue because doing good is the path to Christ, not because others are seeing, not because others are applauding us. Perseverance means continue to forgive, continuing to serve, continuing to improve, continuing to love. Are we going to have bad days? Absolutely. We go from 0 to 100. We don't expect meeting Christ when we are in the 0 and fall on the 100 by miracle, right? It is a path of transformation. So it is important, this perseverance, all of them together, it what makes the difference. One or another will help us, but only all of them will give our path to really do this renewal, and it's being strong and stable. So hope gives us vision, effort gives us progress, vigilance gives us awareness, discipline gives us direction, and perseverance gives us victory in the good. And it's through this path of transformation that we can achieve this inner kingdom. And this kingdom of God is this inner kingdom. It comes with this acceptance of Lord in our lives. And again, it's not from 0 to 100 in once. So there is this question that starts this message from our Father, let us learn as soon as possible. And it says, how do we find the Lord in our journey through the world? His divine presence is manifested through the solution of a difficult human problem, in improved health, in the return of a loved one, in the spontaneous renovation of a path so that new illuminating light can instill better reasoning. There are many informed people with respect to Jesus, and many have already absorbed his saving grace. It is indispensable, however, that those who have received benefits from Christ and have experienced the happiness and the blessing also feel the same pleasure in the work and in their testimony of faith. It will not be enough to be saturated with blessings. It is necessary that we do our part and collaborate in the service of gospel, attentive to its sanctifying program. So when we go through this message, the first thing that calls our attention is how do we encounter the Lord as we pass through the world? And that question is going to shift us from that extraordinary visions and miracles to our daily life, to things that happens with us day by day. It's true that Paul of Tarsus met Jesus in that extraordinary vision, but he was already ready. He just need that. If we meet Jesus today, how are we going to feel? Are we going to tell him, yes, tell me what you want and I'm going to do it? Are you really that ready? Paul was. Mary of Magdala, she had the opportunity to meet Jesus in person, but she was also ready. And you see, when you're not ready, you can meet Jesus. Jesus can even tell you, hey, listen, that would better if you come with me prepared. Are you sure you're going to waste the opportunity? Because it's going to take a tremendous amount of time, suffering, and everything else if you choose no. And he chose no. He chose all the life he was already having. So expecting that miracle does not make much a difference if we are not ready. The miracle happens for us to think about it and have that seed. And he had the miracle. When he met Jesus, he did not follow Jesus, but his daughter was healed from the sickness. So he did have his miracle, and that's it. And how many in times of Jesus had a miracle, had someone or being themselves healed, and nothing happens to them? Christ was found crying because he was seeing those that have been healed already thinking about the bad things that they could be doing after that. So not always the miracles or the visions, it's enough to change us. And that is important to keep in mind. And this is our last part. As we go through this path of transformation and we start finding this inner kingdom, then we go to this part in here where Jesus waits our spiritual renewal above all else. And before I read, let's think a little bit about when Jesus is calling us, right? And the invitation sometimes comes from his blessings. And if we think about blessed are the afflicted, for they shall be consoled, what is expected when we hear this? The result is this inner character. Because it's not about being afflicted. How many of us are afflicted, and when the opportunity to do something better and being consoled, we are not ready to do that? When we go to the chapter, Be Perfect, the good person, what is expected for the person that is afflicted is to place the faith in God, in his goodness, in his justice, and his wisdom. Know that nothing happens without his permission, and submit yourself to his will in all things. Understand that everything in life is an experience and will bring us lessons. If we go to another blessing that says, blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, what is that? Is the answer? What is the result of this? And if we go again and the Be Perfect, the chapter Be Perfect, the good person, it says, have faith in the future. Therefore, value spiritual treasures above temporal ones. Know all the vicissitudes of life, all pains, all disappointments are trials or atonements, and accept them without complaint. So it's not about being persecuted. It's about understanding that we need to have faith, right? And then we go to the message. Jesus awaits our spiritual renewal above all else. How many calls have Jesus done in our lives? So you have made a mistake, you must seek the door of correction. If you have offended someone, amend yourself through proper reconciliation. If you have strayed from the straight path, return to the right way. If you have become disturbed, restore restore your harmony once again. If you have harbored rebellion, regain self-discipline. In any situation of imbalance, remember that prayer can bring you divine guidance, broaden your spiritual vision, and grant you abundant consolation. However, for the Lord, conventional or merely verbal attitudes are not enough. The Master grants us the gift and ask of us initiative. Therefore, in your days of struggle, make the vows and promises that are to your liking and benefit, but do not forget the action and renewal that can be put to good use in the divine work of the world and are supremely pleasing in the eyes of the Lord. That is, this message is from Divine of Light, Prayer and Renewal. Oops, I did not put it back. Here we go. So I'm gonna not even explain this because I think that is for each one of us to think about it, right? What is Jesus wanting from us above all else? And so be it.